President Biden's speech last night. It was his first State of the Union address. The president called for unity on a number of issues, including a tough response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine and also on some of the domestic challenges facing the country. So how did it go over? That is the question on this Morning After. Well, 78% of Americans who watched the speech approved of it. That's according to our CBS News poll. But we do need to point out that close to half of those polled are Democrats. Ed O'Keefe is at the White House with more on the story. Ed, good morning to you on this Morning After.
Good morning, Gayle. It is always great to see you here in Washington. Welcome back to town. It was a 62-minute speech during which the president mostly tried to dwell on common ground and not on the partisanship that's divided this capital city. And from the beginning, he focused on an issue that's quickly become a top-of-mind concern, the crisis in Ukraine and holding Vladimir Putin accountable.
He has no idea what's coming.
President Biden spent the first 10 minutes of his State of the Union address condemning Russian President Vladimir Putin's attack on Ukraine.
He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people.
Surrounded by lawmakers wearing the blue and yellow colors of Ukraine and waving that country's flag. The emotional high point of the night came when he introduced Ukraine's ambassador.
Thank you.
The president announced plans to close U.S. airspace to Russian planes and said the Justice Department will be joining a global campaign to root out Russian oligarchs with ties to Putin.
We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains.
Mr. Biden appeared without a mask and got up close and personal with colleagues.
Let's use this moment to reset. So stop looking at COVID as a partisan dividing line.
According to a CBS News poll of speech watchers, 64% said the president's policies would lower inflation. One way to cut costs, he said, would be to revitalize American manufacturing.
That means make more cars and semiconductors in America, more infrastructure and innovation in America, more goods moving faster and cheaper in America.
He pushed a pathway to citizenship for dreamers and distanced himself from liberal Democrats on criminal justice reform.
The answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them.
He also called for passage of a unity agenda focused on 4 issues with broad bipartisan support: beating the opioid epidemic, tackling mental health, supporting veterans, and ending cancer. But his attempts at bipartisanship were punctured by 2 Republican lawmakers, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia and Lauren Boebert of Colorado. They shouted, "Build the wall," when he mentioned immigration, and Boebert interrupted again when he was speaking of his son's death, blaming the president for service members killed in Afghanistan during last year's chaotic withdrawal. That drew boos from across the chamber, and the 2 congresswomen were criticized overnight by members of both parties. As for today, the president's going to continue the tradition of going on the road to amplify his message. The First Lady will join him in Wisconsin, where they'll talk about the infrastructure bill passed last year and other domestic agenda items. The White House says he'll also be closely monitoring the situation in Ukraine. Gayle?
Ed, thank you.